Welcome to Turkistan TV News. The Arab world isn't just silent on China's crackdown on Uighurs, it's complicit. Times News. As China deepens relations with Saudi Arabia in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Uyghur diaspora finds itself in the crosshairs. Riyadh is preparing to deport two Uyghurs back to Turkestan, so-called China's western province of Xinjiang, where they will almost certainly be detained for re-education in its vast network of concentration camps for the region's Turkic inhabitants. Uyghurs in East Turkestan face human rights violations ranging from arbitrary detention and torture to sexual assault and forced sterilization. Saudi Arabia, a key ally of China in the Arab world, has shown support for Beijing's crackdown on Uyghur culture in the past. During a 2019 visit to China, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the country's de facto ruler, told his hostess, "We respect and support China's rights to take counter-terrorism and de-extremism measures to safeguard national security." Saudi Arabia further endorsed China's East Turkestan policies in two joint letters to the United Nations in 2019 and 2020. But Arab states are not only lending rhetorical support to China, they're also actively assisting Beijing in its global campaign of abuse and reprisal against Uyghurs. At least 6 governments in the Arab world, Egypt, Morocco, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and United Arab Emirates, have detained or extradited Uyghurs at China's behest. According to our dataset at also Society for Central Asian Affairs, around 292 Uyghurs have been detained or deported from Arab states at China's behest since 2002. The majority of this occurred in recent years. China's repressive practices against the Uyghur diaspora have expanded dramatically since Chinese President Xi Jinping unleashed his People's War on Terror in 2014. At least 1,327 individuals have been detained or rendered from 20 countries worldwide since then, according to our findings. The majority of these are from Muslim-majority countries. Today, links to the Arab world can result in immediate imprisonment for Uyghurs, with algorithmic systems of surveillance flagging individuals with ties to Egypt, Saudi Arabia, or any of the other 26 countries blacklisted by Chinese police for arrest. To pursue Uyghurs, China has abused international organizations such as Interpol, the World Police Agency, as well as bilateral extradition treaties. The recent case of Idris Hassan, also known as Aishan Idris, who was detained in Morocco in July 2021, is revealing. Hassan, a computer engineer, worked for a number of Uyghur human rights organizations in Turkey before he fled to Morocco after Turkish authorities detained him. He was arrested on July 19 at Casablanca airport and sent to prison near Tiflis after China issued an Interpol red notice on false charges of terrorism against the Uyghur activist. Interpol suspended the red notice on August 2021, but Moroccan courts proceeded to try Hassan according to the extradition treaty signed with China in 2016. Part of a strategic partnership agreement between the two countries that included economic and financial investments. On December 16, 2021, the Court of Cassation in Morocco ordered his extradition, but he remained in detention at the time of publication. Hassan's case is not the first or even most blatant example of China's powerful reach in the Arab world. In July 2017, Egyptian police rounded up over 200 Uyghur residents from their homes, restaurants, mosques, and even airports as they tried to flee the country. Most residents at Al-Azhar University, an Islamic university that has stood in Cairo for over 1,000 years. Large number were taken to Tora, the notorious Scorpion prison, where Egyptian political prisoners are usually sent. Our interviews with detainees reveal that Chinese intelligence officers interrogated Uyghurs within these facilities alongside their Egyptian counterparts. According to our findings in the report, beyond silence, collaboration between the Arab states and China in the transnational repression of Uyghurs, published with the Oxford Society and Uyghur Human Rights Project, at least 76 of these detained Uyghurs were deported to China. In interviews with the authors, Uyghurs who fled crackdown in Egypt thought Al-Azhar University would protect them, but were left astonished when the police came for them. At least 2 Uyghur students have been reported dead in police custody on their return to China. Even the Hajj, the pilgrimage required of all practicing Muslims, is no longer safe. The journey to the Saudi cities of Mecca and Medina for the Muslim faithful has become a snare to catch Uyghurs from all over the world. Osman Ahmed Tohti, a Uyghur with legal residency in Turkey and Saudi Arabia, was detained in 2018 while conducting the Hajj and forcibly repatriated to China. He has not been heard from since. China's intelligence service has also used the pilgrimage to bait Uyghurs in safe European jurisdictions. Norway-based Uyghur Umar Ruzi said his mother was forcibly taken on the Hajj by Chinese police and was forced to call Umar 3 times per day, urging him to join her. Transnational technological linkage between the Beijing and Arab world have potentially dire consequences for Uyghurs back in China. In 2019, a Uyghur was reportedly stopped on mainland China's border with Hong Kong and interrogated for 3 days because someone on his WeChat contact list has checked in at Mecca. In the past, Uyghurs conducting the Hajj have been given state-issued tracking devices in form of smart cards attached to lanyards around their necks. The United Arab Emirates, which enjoys one of the strongest relationships with China in the Arab world, has emerged as a regional intelligence hub for China's security services. In August 2021, Jesser Abubullah, a Netherlands-based Uyghur and former husband of Asia Abdullahat, who rose the promise for leaking the China cables about the mass incarceration program in East Turkestan, so-called Xinjiang, said he was lured to Dubai where he met with 2 Chinese intelligence officers. The agents reportedly handed him a USB and instructed him to insert it into his ex-wife's computer to infect it with spyware. Beijing has been using its leverage over the United Arab Emirates to collect biometric data and other forms of ID from Uyghur residents. When Ahmed Talib was detained in the United Arab Emirates in 2018, he told his wife Amanisa Abdullah that the Dubai police collected a blood sample at the request of Chinese government. Shortly after Amanisa received the message, Talib disappeared. She was told he was deported to China and imprisoned. The collection of biometric data matches conversations I have conducted with Uyghurs in the United Arab Emirates who says they have received WeChat messages from Chinese officials requesting photographs and their identifying documents. Pressure is often applied to their families in East Turkestan to ensure their compliance. If the Biden administration wants to take China to ask on East Turkestan, so-called China's Xinjiang, it must use its leverage to unite its partners in the Arab world behind this mission. The United States has considerable authority to punish security officials engaged in illicit refoulement through its Magnitsky Act for targeted sanctions. As the long arm of China's surveillance state reaches Uyghurs residing in like-minded autocracies, it's more crucial than ever before the United States offers safe haven to this oppressed group by granting Uyghur refugees protected status and raising refugee quotas. China's campaign of repression against the Uyghurs is not confined to East Turkestan, so-called China's Xinjiang. The efforts of the United States to prevent a rapidly deteriorating humanitarian crisis should not stop there either. London Shoal issues a manifesto of solidarity with Uyghur Muslims. Megan Avot in Hendon has become the first to set out an action plan detailing ways to help the Uyghurs in East Turkestan, an occupied land by China. A London synagogue has become the first to issue a manifesto of solidarity with Uyghur Muslims and to set out an action plan for ways of helping them. Megan Avot, a relatively new and growing United Synagogue community based in Hendon, northwest London, has spearheaded support for the Uyghurs, who have been subjected to continued oppression in East Turkestan, so-called Chinese Xinjiang province. Last summer, Megan Avot co-sponsored a conference about the Uyghur people, together with Hampstead and Muswell Hill synagogues. Now the community set out its aims to help the Uyghur people and condemn the slave labor and genocide with their daily suffering. The manifesto suggests different methods of challenging the business as usual response when dealing with the companies which sell products almost certainly manufactured using forced Uyghur labor. People are asked to avoid buying products made in East Turkestan, so-called Xinjiang district of China, where most Uyghurs live, and if there's no alternative to buying goods made in China, to ask the owner or manager of the relevant business to remember that the customers would prefer a choice. Iltaber from East Turkestan TV News reported.